Hey, my peeps. Erin Zen Warrior here. Happy Easter Monday it is here in New Zealand. Cool. Well, I'm going to talk about relating and communicating because I've been watching some interesting stuff play out with friends on dating apps and all that sort of stuff. But wow, it'd be lovely if one of you guys would actually let me out of here. What dicks? You're not going to be able to take that part, honey. This is fun times in the Les Mills parking lot where people are just absolutely selfish when it comes to checking the rear vision mirror. Someone now has just had to back all the way down the ramp to let me out. Thank you so much. Anyway, what was I going to say? So, part of my job is actually just explaining shit to people all the time. And my human design life theme is the cross of explanation in the gate of the 49. So it's got a rebellious, revolutionary kind of quality to it. Anybody notice that? Anyway, I spend a lot of time explaining shit to people, talking to my friends about stuff, talking to my clients about stuff. And for the last 3 days, except for 2 friends who slid in under that rail, I just checked the fuck out of it unless I was actually hanging out with someone, which I didn't do pretty much at all on Friday. And that was because I'd had enough. And I think it's really reasonable to have had enough. And with my clients, I just went on shutdown, actually, because it can become really, really overtaxing when your whole life is that. And so for those of you who have been wondering when I was going to get back to them, today in between now and Wednesday, I'll actually catch up on the backlog. It's not very often I do this where I make myself pretty much unreachable, unless you SOS me. And then even on Friday, I probably wouldn't have gotten in touch with you because some of you abuse the bloody SOS. Anyway, SOS is for life and death situations only. Anyway, I have been watching people going on dating apps and going through different processes in that initial phase of dating. And something that keeps coming up as a theme is communication, communication, communication. And I think, you know, when we're in our 20s and we're really just giant children and we're still learning how to integrate into the world, and that's a huge part of what's going on for us, right? We're still learning safety and external integration through the chakras into society. People are like, what are you talking about? Well, what I'm talking about is I'm talking about the life journey as a being. And recently, after my post about men that I did recently, a guy popped into my DMs and we were talking about something and he said to me, I wish we just really need to unlearn everything that the West has taught us. And I'm like, yeah, kind of. You're not here, you're here to unlearn the conditioned response. That's true. But not by unlearning what you've learned. It's actually through the recognition of what you've learned and how that has helped you and how that actually pulls things apart in your life as well, because it becomes a conditioned survival, unconscious response. So you basically need to bring your awareness in to make those responses instead of reactions, right? I make it a conscious choice to do that or to not. Or at the very least, I bring my conscious awareness in to see that I did that. And that's kind of the first step, is to recognize when you've been unconscious, when you've done something that was not chosen, but a knee-jerk survival reaction. And so it's natural that we've done these things. We went out into the world and we have learned how to survive, right? And part of that survival process was some unconscious habits in order to make it so that we could breathe. And so there's a lot of fight or flight response built into things because it's all been based on survival. The second part of your journey is to turn inwards, is to go inwards and travel back through the chakras to reclaim. And as I said in my last video, men start at a different place because when they stepped into teenagehood or maybe younger, they were gaslit against emoting. Women, sometimes arrogantly, think that they have a leg up because they were allowed to emote. We were allowed that. And we got into our bodies easier, right? Men are kept from their bodies because they're not allowed to emote. And emoting emotion. Motion moves emotion. So when women start getting into their bodies and they start dancing and stuff like that, they're very, very much getting into the expression of emotion on a physical level. Well, there's a reason a lot of men don't dance. They don't physically express. Why? Because they're not allowed to emote at all. So first you get allowed to emote, and second, and maybe very quickly, you learn you must actually dance it out, express it out. You must get into motion, moving the emotion, and it has to be done in a way that goes beyond the fear of judgment of the external reality, because that is very much connected to the first part of your journey. And in your process of reclaiming yourself, you must let go of what people fucking think of you. That's wild to think about, because I still know people who are parents and mothers and all this sort of stuff, and they're terrified of what people think of them. Fucking terrified. Come into my yoga class on a day when we scream and dance, and you will see that one of the things that I have very much developed in myself is I do not give a shit what any of you think about me. I really don't. It does pain me when people judge me and have never spoken 3 words to me, but it pains me because it just pains me that that's the survival state that some adults are in, and it's such a disrespect to energetic and people's intention in this world. But overall, not everyone's for everyone, and it's certainly got nothing to do with me, especially if you've never spoken to me before, right? But bridging this into communication. So here's an interesting thing. If I am still relating to the world from a safety mechanism, if I have not started my journey inwards, the way I communicate is going to be defensive and offensive, and it is not going to be open and clear. And you're not going to be able to be capable of 100% open and clear until you have worked your way back through to your own fully realized enlightenment. There are always going to be shadows and catches and things that come up. And there are for me, and I've done a lot of work here, right? And the reason that there are for me is there's still situations and elements that I need to go back and reclaim. And I am in this space where I would love to reclaim that with a great reflection with someone who's bold and wild enough to do the same. Of course, I relate to men, and men are starting from a different position. And so maybe, ladies, it's Build-A-Bear time, but I think that's also, you gotta be careful with that, right? Because there's a control manipulation and unfortunately a lack of self-realization in that whole process potentially as well. But what's really, really important to understand when you're in communication with people and their communication becomes defensive and offensive is that it's nothing to do with you, and it's everything to do with their survival mechanism and where they are at with their journey back to self and back to reclamation of self. And some people are like, isn't the idea to go beyond self? I'm like, you cannot go beyond self until you have become self. And so it's go out into the world to become not self, to use a human design term. Then it's go back inside to reclaim self and to become. And then it is to go beyond that again, right? To develop self so much that you have no longer a need to attach to it. And there are some people that are still in their reclamation journey of self, where they're like, I'm in healing, you've got to give me space, you need to do this, you need to do that. And what they don't see is that they're still somewhere between reclaiming self and being stuck in an external need to have the world outside of them establish safety for them in order for them to feel safe. So they're still making other people responsible for their safety. And that is stuck somewhere between the two. And stuck is an overstatement. Working somewhere between the two is probably a bit more progressive and positive and more of attraction-y aligned, right? Unless they insist, you know, if they're open to the conversation about the fact that I don't exist for you and I don't exist to make you safe, then they're working. If they're willing to hear that, then they're working. And a lot of my clients are willing to hear that, but they still get stuck in conversations about how others should behave, how the world needs to be for them. The world is the world, people. And the only thing that you can do is communicate clearly. And what that means is radical fucking honesty. Did you hear that? Radical fucking honesty. And it's one thing to be as honest as you can in this moment with the other. But what about how honest you are with yourself about where you're really at? And this is something we see in the spiritual community and the self-development community and all this bullshit and a lot of this traditional fucking roles, gender roles shit. It's like, oh, I'm at this point and this is where I'm at, and I need from the other, I need from the world this. Really? Are you really that developed? I'm well developed. I know who I am. So I need the world to be like this around me or it doesn't fit. Here's the thing. People lie all the time. They're constantly lying for their safety. And that's all it is. Even your biggest narcissists, they're actually lying for their safety because they felt unsafe. Like there's no other reason to lie other than I feel unsafe for some reason and I have a need to protect something. That's why people lie. What if you woke up today and you said to someone, sorry, I fell off the map for the weekend, but I fell on, you know, another human and it was really fun. And yeah, I just didn't get in touch because I didn't really know how to say that. And see how the person reacts, right? And if you've got an agreement of monogamy, boy, oh boy, that's going to be a fun conversation for you. But if you have no agreements in this current world, then what's wrong with that, right? You're now going to get to see how that person responds and reacts. You're going to get to see where they're at. And look, we're in a world where, man, all bets are off. This is not a courting traditional 1800s situation where you interact with one person and one person alone. This is overlaying realities of everything is going off. Every experience is open to you. And if you want to be open to any experience, guess what? Radical fucking honesty. And when you are radically honest, you know what you get to see? You get to see how much that person shakes and quakes under the honesty of that. You get to see all the flags pop up real fucking fast. So I know I'm swearing a lot in this one, and that's because I guess I want to be really blatant. Like, really start testing your honesty, and with your honesty testing others. Because here's the thing about the explanation cross that I have that I was talking about earlier, is that I grew up with a foot and mouth kind of scenario because my 4323, the gate of structuring, the channel of structuring, the channel of shooting from the hip is automatic and naturally unconscious within my system, which means I get to witness it, but I don't get much control over it. And sometimes it says shit that I think has nothing to do with the person standing next to me, and it totally does. And they think I was shooting at them, and I was just observing the world, and it just happened to hit them right where they needed to feel it. And so when you live in a world from shooting from the hip, you start to realize, and you have no control over it because you are circuited to be like that, you start to realize that brutality in honesty is actually a great filtering mechanism for the people around you. And I've got to tell you, the people that are around me that love that mechanism within me and that love me have great recognition, and they have great resilience, and they have a love for the truth that's warrior-like. And it's why the term Zen warrior really exists in my world. And it came across as initially it came across as a way to describe me from a yogic student of mine who's also a marketing person. But actually, I realized Zen warrior, the fluid, the feminine coming together with the masculine in this powerful construct of masculine and feminine and brutal honesty, radical honesty, beautiful honesty, is one of the strongest things you're ever going to find within yourself. And it is something that we all have access to. And so if you really want to go down the rabbit hole of relationship and see something that's truly beautiful, understand that relationship and the way you communicate is an individual's journey. It's got nothing to do with the other. And what you are getting involved in relationship actually comes down to how you are communicating and what you are allowing. And when someone bullshits you, you can either see it as bullshit or you can excuse it because you want to lie to yourself and you want to believe that that person is going to be everything that you need them to be instead of everything that they are showing you that they are. And that's the thing. People are revealing themselves all the time. Like, people are so transparent. It's ridiculous. So ridiculous. People are so easy to see through. And that's why even in their dishonesty, they tell you the truth. They show it to you. It's up to you whether you want to be honest and see it. And so communication is the key to relationship. Communication is the key to your evolution as a human being within relationship. And how someone else is communicating with you and what you allow in your world, that is going to change your reality so much. So it's up to you. Have a great day. Do the like, follow, share, etc. thing. It helps me. If it helps someone else, that's great too. And really, I do these things to share my perspective after years and years and years of meditation interaction and really honestly studying people and studying myself too. So have a great day. Nice to see you, Anna.